It was supposed to be one of those nights nobody remembers. No sirens, no screams, no chaos. Just a quiet American neighborhood, tucked away like a secret the city forgot. Streetlights hummed softly. Porch lights glowed warm and fake safe. Inside most homes, TVs murmured, phones scrolled, lives went on. And in one house, everything looked completely normal. Too normal. The kind of normal that doesn't raise alarms until it's too late. The house itself didn't stand out. White siding, neatly trimmed lawn, curtains half closed, like the family wanted privacy, not isolation. Neighbors later said the same thing over and over. Nothing felt off. It was a regular night. We never heard a thing. That sentence would haunt them. Inside, time was moving slow. A routine evening, familiar walls, familiar silence. No signs of struggle, no broken glass, no warning that something irreversible was about to happen. This is what made the story explode later, not what people saw, but what they didn't. When police would eventually step inside that house, they wouldn't find chaos, they would find calm. And calm doesn't belong where violence lives. That contradiction, peaceful scene, brutal reality, is what burned this case into public memory. Here's the thing about crime stories that go viral in America. People don't just want gore, they want mystery. They want questions that won't shut up, and this case delivered plenty. There were no obvious suspects at first, no masked intruder caught on camera, no dramatic chase. Instead, the focus slowly shifted inward. Family, close connections, people who had keys and reasons. That's when the tension really started. Investigators noticed details that felt wrong the longer they stared at them. Furniture untouched, personal items exactly where they were supposed to be, nothing stolen. If this was random violence, it didn't act like it. If it was personal, it was calculated, and calculation is scarier than rage. This wasn't the kind of crime fueled by impulse. It felt rehearsed. Like someone knew the house, knew the timing, knew how to move without making noise. That realization changed everything. As word leaked out, the internet did what it always does. People zoomed in on photos, paused police footage, replayed every interview. True crime communities started connecting dots that hadn't even been officially mentioned yet. Reddit threads exploded. YouTube breakdowns followed. TikTok clips went viral overnight. Everyone had a theory. And the most disturbing part? Every theory made sense. The story didn't rely on shock. It relied on unease. The idea that something horrible can happen without warning, without noise, without chaos. Just silence doing its job. That's why this case spread so fast across the US. It hit a nerve, because if it could happen there, in a quiet, safe-looking home, it could happen anywhere. By the time the first official details reached the public, the audience was already emotionally invested. They weren't watching anymore. They were inside the story, and they wanted answers. But answers don't come easy in cases like this, especially when the truth is closer than anyone wants to admit.
In cases like this, the danger never comes from the shadows. It sits right at the dinner table. By the time investigators finished their first walkthrough, one thing was painfully clear. This crime didn't feel distant, it felt intimate. No forced entry, no signs of panic, no messy struggle. That immediately killed the random intruder theory, because strangers don't move like ghosts. They make mistakes. They leave chaos. Whoever did this moved with confidence, like they'd been there before. Detectives started where they always do, the inner circle, family, friends, people who knew routines, and suddenly everyone became uncomfortable. Interviews began calm, too calm. The kind of calm where people answer quickly, like they practiced the words in advance. One person spoke without emotion. Another avoided eye contact just a second too long. Someone else remembered details that didn't matter and forgot the ones that did. Tiny cracks, but cracks tell stories. The timeline was the first thing that didn't add up. Phones were checked, messages reviewed, call logs compared. Someone's story shifted by minutes. Another's alibi worked, but only if you didn't look too closely. And investigators always look closely. Neighbors were brought in next. Most said the same thing. We heard nothing, no yelling, no car speeding off. That silence became evidence, because silence can be intentional. As the case details leaked, the internet caught fire. True crime creators slowed down footage, analyzed facial expressions, compared interviews side by side. Suddenly, the audience noticed things police couldn't comment on publicly. A smirk that didn't belong, a pause before answering a simple question, hands shaking, not from grief, but control. That's when public opinion split. Some believed it was grief masked as numbness. Others said, no, that's guilt trying to behave. The comment sections turned into courtrooms. Everyone had a verdict. But the most disturbing detail, there were moments when the suspect or suspects placed themselves at the scene without being asked. That's not confidence, that's compulsion. People who lie often overshare. Truth stays simple. Police began reconstructing the night minute by minute. What time the lights went out, when phones stopped moving, which rooms stayed untouched. And one room told a completely different story. Not violent, not destroyed, just wrong, like something had been cleaned too well. That's when the tone of the investigation changed. This wasn't about if someone close was involved. It was about who cracked first. Pressure builds silently in cases like this. No arrests, no public accusations, just waiting, watching, letting guilt breathe. One person started acting differently, avoiding cameras, canceling interviews, letting someone else speak for them. Another leaned into attention, smiling, talking, performing grief. Both reactions raised red flags, because innocence doesn't need strategy. Behind closed doors, detectives began narrowing it down. Motive wasn't obvious, but motive rarely is. Sometimes it's control, sometimes resentment, sometimes fear of something coming out. And sometimes it's just the belief that you won't get caught. That belief is dangerous because it makes people careless. By the end of the week, law enforcement had what they needed: a psychological profile, a narrowed list, and one person who didn't realize the walls were closing in. The public still didn't know it yet, but the case was about to turn hard. And once it did, there was no going back. People don't confess with words first. They confess with behavior. By the time the interrogation rooms filled up, the case had already shifted. Detectives weren't hunting anymore. They were waiting. Because when pressure is applied the right way, the truth starts leaking out through the cracks. The room was cold, neutral, no intimidation tactics, just a table, 2 chairs, and silence doing most of the work. The person sitting across from detectives didn't look like a killer. That's the part people never understand. Monsters rarely look like monsters. At first, the story stayed smooth. Same timeline, same phrases, same emotional beats, almost robotic. And that was the problem. Real memories stumble, fake ones repeat. Detectives changed nothing except the order of questions. Suddenly, details shifted. A door that was supposedly locked wasn't. A phone that never moved suddenly had steps recorded. A time that was once certain turned fuzzy. Small mistakes, deadly ones. Then came the pause, a long one. Not the kind where someone thinks, the kind where someone calculates. That's when the mask slipped. Body language experts later broke this part down frame by frame. The clenched jaw, the tapping foot, the sudden need to explain why they loved the victim. Innocent people talk about loss. Guilty people talk about themselves. Meanwhile, outside the interrogation room, investigators had something new. Digital evidence. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just undeniable. A device that shouldn't have been active, data that didn't match the story, movement where there shouldn't have been any. Silence was officially broken. When detectives laid it out, calmly, cleanly, the air changed. The suspect leaned back, smiled, and for a second looked relieved. That moment shocked everyone, because relief means something heavy just lifted. That's when the conversation turned personal, not accusatory, personal. Questions about stress, about fear, about secrets. And suddenly emotions surfaced, real ones. Anger, resentment, control slipping. The story fractured, contradictions piled up. Every attempt to fix one lie created 2 more. That's when the suspect stopped talking, and silence returned. But this time, it wasn't calm, it was loud. Outside, the internet sensed the shift before the official announcement. Leaked rumors, sudden legal silence, family members lawyering up. True crime channels posted updates with one-word titles. Break, turn, this changes everything. Detectives didn't rush the arrest. They waited, because the final move had to be clean, perfect, unquestionable. Then it happened, a breakdown. Not screaming, not crying, a quiet collapse. Shoulders slumped, voice shaking. The person who thought they were in control realized something terrifying. They weren't. One sentence changed everything. Not a confession, an admission of knowledge no innocent person should have had. The room went still. Detectives exchanged a look. They had it. By the end of the night, the case was no longer a mystery. It was a countdown. Paperwork, warrants, a decision that would echo for years. But the public still didn't know the full truth. They were about to. And when they did, the story wouldn't just shock them, it would divide them. Because the final question wasn't what happened, it was why. Every case ends, but some truths don't. The arrest came quietly. No flashing lights, no dramatic chase, just a door opening and a life closing in on itself. By morning, the news broke. Headlines didn't scream, they froze. Because the name didn't belong to a stranger,
It belonged to someone everyone already knew. The motive wasn't money. That's what shocked people the most. No insurance plot, no robbery gone wrong. It was control, the slow-burning kind that hides behind smiles and routines, the kind that grows when someone feels trapped, exposed, replaceable. Investigators laid it out piece by piece. The planning wasn't elaborate, it was confident. The suspect believed familiarity was protection, that knowing the house, the habits, the silence was enough. And for a while, it almost was. Court documents revealed details the public hadn't seen, moments of hesitation, a decision that could have been undone, but wasn't. Because once the line is crossed, turning back becomes impossible. The trial divided the country. Some saw a villain, others saw a broken human pushed too far. Social media split in half. One side demanded life sentences, the other searched for explanations. Both missed the point. Because this story wasn't about sides, it was about warning signs ignored. Control mistaken for love, silence mistaken for peace, normal mistaken for safe. When the verdict was read, there was no reaction, no tears, no relief, just stillness, the kind that settles when everyone realizes something permanent just happened. Families changed forever. A neighborhood that once felt quiet now felt watched. People started locking doors they'd never locked before. Trust didn't disappear, it fractured. Years later, the house still stands, different paint, different owners, but locals say the energy never left. Real estate listings avoid details, neighbors avoid eye contact when it comes up. Some stories stain places. True crime podcasts still revisit the case, not because of brutality, but because of how normal it all looked. That's what keeps people watching. That's what makes this story viral even now. Because the scariest truth isn't that evil exists, it's that it blends in. It eats dinner with you, laughs with you, sleeps under the same roof. This case didn't end with the arrest. It ended with a question people still ask themselves late at night. How well do you really know the people closest to you? And that's why this story never faded. No jump scares, no monsters, just reality doing what it does best.